Hello everyone, it's Simmuz here. Welcome to a brand new video, and today, you've seen it from the title and the thumbnail, we are going to talk about Sims 4 stats. But before we begin, if you want to support my channel and if you like my content, of course you can always subscribe down below. It's free, it's easy, and it really supports me, so just do it. Thank you, please. But I want to talk about some Sims 4 stats because The Sims just released with EA the Year in Gaming 2023 stats for The Sims 4 and for all other games from EA, and I really want to talk about the stats for The Sims 4, and especially I want to compare it to some other information that we got in the before years. So let's just dive into this little window that we got and let's check the information that we got. So for the Year in Gaming, we got this nice screen, I guess, with some cute information that I think it's kind of interesting. Of course, if you want to check it for yourself, I'm gonna leave all the links down below so you can check it out for yourself, but let's go through it together first. So we can see here in 2020 we got 1.8 billion hours played. I feel like it makes sense, especially because at the end of 2022 The Sims 4 went free to play, so a lot more people started playing the game and checking it out. So 1.8 billion hours, that's a lot of hours, but it does make sense, especially when you're pretty into consideration that The Sims 4 has more than 70 million active players, so it makes sense. Same for the 260 million hours in build mode. That's pretty cool. A lot of hours in build mode. And we can see we have 23 million deaths, 43 million infants delivered, and that's gonna be interesting with another stats that we are going to talk about later. We have 12 million gallery uploads. That's interesting because the gallery half the time doesn't work, so good for us. 568 million Sims created. That's more than half a billion Sims. That's a lot of Sims. But again, it makes sense. The game went free to play. 4.7 million horses created. I think that's interesting because you have to take into consideration that horses are in game only ever since July, if I'm not mistaken, with Horse Ranch. When the expansion pack was released, then we got horses. So before then, we didn't really have a way to create horses. So 4.7 million horses created only since July to December, because this was released like halfway through December. So in around 6 months, we got almost 5 million horses. That's a big number, and I guess it also ties to the fact that Horse Ranch might be a very well received expansion pack. Personally, it's not my favorite. It's definitely not the favorite for the year for me. I feel like Growing Together was such a huge change to the gameplay. I didn't really care for horses personally. I think it's a fine expansion pack, like it's middle of the road, but with the game going free to play, this being one of the first expansion pack ever since then, I feel like that's the reason why it's also got a lot of maybe downloads and bought by a lot of people. We also got 345 million woohoos, so I don't really know how they count this. I don't know if there's a way to like for them to check my stats in game. I guess there is, because they know how many times we woohooed, so interesting. As for the 12 million uploads, we also have 277 million gallery downloads, which again, crazy because the gallery half the time doesn't work, but also crazy because if you think like the proportion of it, it means that a lot of builds are getting the load millions of times, because 12 million uploads, 277 million downloads. You know, there's a big disparity in the numbers. So I guess people really love to download from the gallery. So that's interesting to see. If you are a simmer that creates and posts on the gallery, your creations are very well loved because there's a lot of people that download them. Also, I feel like they always do this kind of like cute little interesting like recipes here down below, for example, like a little stats that it doesn't really matter, but it's kind of fun. So we got the top 3 recipes: eggs and toast, mac and cheese, ham and cheese sandwich. These are all like, I feel like level 1 cooking. Ham and cheese, I don't even think you cook it. I think it's just like something that you got out of the fridge. And we got berry waffle for top home chef hustle waffle recipe. That is a mouthful of things to say, but you know, cute berry waffles. Anyway, I want to talk about the 43 million infants delivered. So as of the 12th of April, which was just about like a month and a half after the release of Growing Together and the infant update, we had 8.6 million infants in the game already. That was just in like a little month. And now we have 43 millions of infants that were created. I know infants are base games, so I cannot say that all of them were created with Growing Together. But of course, if you know that, Growing Together is all about the infant's life stage and all the family gameplay and all of that, it does entice you to buy it. So I'm sure those 43 millions are also not all sales, but some of them, sure, there were sales for the Growing Together pack. I feel like that's fine. The Growing Together pack is probably the best pack of the year, one of the greatest packs for The Sims 4. I'm gonna say it. So I'm not too mad about it, but there's a huge difference. We have made 34 million infants since that tweet in April. So that's a big number of infants made in a pretty decent short amount of time. So it really shows how many people really play this game. What I was interested to show is that we actually got stats for The Sims 4 already once in 2020, in February 2020, when The Sims franchise had their 20th birthday party. So 20 years of The Sims, we actually got more stats. So we're gonna check these old stats and see how they stack against the new ones. So for example, this is already like pretty insane to check out. 1.6 billion Sims created. At this point, The Sims 4 was just around 6-7 years old, and in 6-7 years we got 1.6 billion Sims. And now if we check the new stats, we made basically a third of the amount of Sims that we made in 6 years only in 2023. So you can see the growth is pretty exponential, especially when you put it into perspective. Of course, that is all related probably to the fact that The Sims 4 is now free to play, so a lot more people are playing it since it's free. And that's a huge difference, I feel, in numbers that maybe people don't really realize. So what's also interesting, you can see here 6.9 million vampires were created. As of 2020, the vampire pack for The Sims 4 was released, I think, 3 years before then. So in 3 years, we made almost 7 million vampires. But if we put it into perspective with the horses, 4.7 million horses in 6 months. So it's almost close-ish, let's say around 5 million. It's a little bit more for the vampires, but to give it like a big estimate, they're pretty close-ish numbers. And horses, we made so many more horses, which probably means also that we, as a collective of simmers, bought the horse ranch pack a lot more than the vampire pack. Of course, it makes sense also because we are putting into perspective a game pack and an expansion pack, and expansion packs I feel like are more bang for your buck. Like it's worth it to buy a $40 expansion pack if you want to, that rather than get a $20 game pack, because you're gonna get more stuff. So a lot more people are probably gonna buy an expansion pack rather than a game pack. That still is, I feel like, a pretty significant difference. And again, talking about 1 million mermaids, 200,000 aliens, that's crazy. I'm still mad about that. It's insane to me that we have had aliens for basically since the beginning of the game, and as of 2020 it was just 200,000. So if you put that into perspective, it means that probably not many people have got to work, which makes sense. 1 million mermaids as of 2020. I think Island Living was just released the year before, so that was already like showing a pretty big margin, because there was a lot of people that bought it. But of course, these numbers are way less than what we're seeing for just the year of 2023. We got this, that is the same thing, right? Woohoos in The Sims 4. As of 2020, 1.3 billions. Just in 2023, 345 million. So if we put it into perspective and we take the 1.3 billion woohoos in 6-7 years, that's around 180 million woohoos a year. But in 2023, that was basically doubled. That's double the amount of woohoos. So that's definitely like a show that it really there is an increase in the numbers of Sims players. And also if we took into consideration the number of toddlers made. So for 2020, I think at this point toddlers had been out for 3-4 years, more or less, and it just says 173,000 toddlers. So if we put that into perspective with the number of infants that we got in a year, in a single year, we got 43 million infants. So in a year, basically, 43 million. And toddlers in 3-4 years, less than 200,000. That is a staggering difference. And I feel like since both of these were addition to the base game, and they do count not only toddlers made with a specific pack or infants made with a specific pack, it really shows the increasing number of players of base game especially. So there has been a huge increment from 2020 to 2023. And again, with the uploads, 41 million uploads since the beginning of The Sims 4 through 2020, around 6-7 years. That's a decent amount of numbers. But 41 million versus 12 million in a year, that's a huge increase. And $825 million, that's a huge number, almost 1 billion downloads. But we got almost 300 million downloads this year, just in 2023. The difference is huge. And I feel like these stats is the first year I think that they give us an end of a year stat like this. So it's very interesting to see, and confronting them with the 2020 statistics that we got, you can really see that first thing first, they did themselves a huge favor going free to play with The Sims 4. The amount of people that started playing with The Sims, like as of the end of 2022 into 2023, it's clearly like a huge increase. And that obviously translates, on one hand, of course, more people are playing the game, that's cute, more people sharing stuff online, that's nice, more publicity for the game as well. But on the other hand, it means more people that are willing to buy an expansion pack or a game pack or a kit or some other, or maybe a combo of them. Like, I'm sure their sales are skyrocketing as of right now as we're speaking, and you can see it by the numbers. The difference is insane. Good for them, they're making definitely a whole lot of money, especially I'm sure it's very happy. So yeah, this was just me going through some statistics to see how much The Sims 4 has boomed in the last few years. It's gonna be 10 years old in a few months as of me speaking right now, so it's pretty insane to think that in just 3 years there's been such a staggering difference. And I do believe it's all because of the free-to-play game. And I guess also that fits with the reason why we got 3 expansion packs this year. It's not something that common that happened. If you haven't seen my video with all the stats about expansion packs and just DLCs in general, I'm also gonna link that. But it's not an unusual thing that happens to get 3 expansion pack in a year for The Sims. Usually we get 1 or 2. And this year it was specifically 3. We got For Rent just at the tail end of the year. And I believe that it could be possible that For Rent was pushed a little earlier. And that's also the reason why some people are having issues with the pack. I know there's been some bugs going on. I haven't personally encountered many of these bugs, just the usual like few little things happening in my game. But I haven't had any of the bigger bugs that I've seen people complain about. Obviously, that means that I was just very lucky. It doesn't mean that people are doing anything wrong. The fact that there are kind of a lot of issues with For Rent. Obviously, it's a huge expansion pack that does change some core mechanics of the game, so it makes sense that there might be some issues. But also, in my heart of hearts, it might also mean that they probably pushed it a little earlier, just to get the 3rd expansion pack before Christmas, since they have had this huge increment in numbers ever since going free to play. But I guess this is just a game theory or whatever. But let me know, of course, in the comments down below what are your thoughts on the statistics and on the growth of The Sims 4 this year. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.